So, good morning everyone. And then, for this time, we have to do our continuation with our topic related to forces and transformation of energy. So if you remember last time, since we talked about the third components, first, second, and third components under the Newton's law of motion, okay? Well, in fact, you were able to answer that one during your midterm exam, okay? So how to determine the first, second, third Newton's law of motion. Now, we will proceed to the word energy transformation, okay? So what do you think will be the relevance of energy transformation in our daily life activities? What do you mean by the word transformation? The word transform. So transformation, creating changes from one form to another form. Same as what you have been experienced. Your learning experiences keeps changing from time to time. That's what we call transformation, transition period. Okay? The level of your education, your achievement, your grading performances keeps changing. You need to level up and you should be promoted to another level. That's what we call transformation. Okay? In order to obtain those transformations in your daily life activities, you need those factors. Okay? One, hard work. You need energy in order to perform those works that you need to accomplish. Transformation of energy not only happens in your daily experiences, but transformation of energy also happens in our natural surroundings. Changing of objects in different positions and, of course, directions from one place to another. Not only happens to living organisms like human and animal organism. So what is the law of conservation of energy? And in what ways can energy be transformed? Now, let's move forward. Here are the important vocabularies that we have to remember. Under this one is energy transformation, as what we mentioned earlier. So again, guys, what do you mean by the word energy? Energy is our ability to work, to perform special tasks in our daily life activities. It's the conversion of form of energy to another. So we have to convert our energy, or we use up that energy, and that will be changed, and it will be resulting into an impact of what you are going to accomplish, especially your task. Okay? Especially using electricity right now. Okay? You may wonder, where are those energy coming from? Of course, the source of energy, it's not only for a battery or direct power from electrical power sites or transformers. No? Not only for electrical power posts, but also it should be coming from the bigger source. It can be from the water dams, waterfalls, source of hydrothermal power plant, geothermal power plant, okay, nuclear power plant, or wind turbine. Okay, it's also part of it. So, energy transformation is the conversion of one form of energy to another. The word conversion means to say, creating new form or changes. Okay? From one energy to another. Say for example, converting heat energy to light energy. Converting heat energy to electrical energy. Aside from that, okay, we can also convert from light to sound energy. Right? And we can also convert from chemical energy to heat energy. So those things, okay, are factors on how those changes or transformation of energy comes into place in order to use up, and that will be beneficial in our body for our daily life activities. Not only for human, but also for machines that we need to use as our support. Okay? Our gadgets, devices, appliances at home. So therefore, light, okay, will be converted to chemical energy. So say for example, plants need light, will absorb sunlight during the process of photosynthesis to convert plants into food and oxygen. Then, every time we eat, once we digest our food for further absorption of nutrients and minerals in our body by the help of our small intestine, and then if we are not hungry, okay, so basically we were able to work it out by mechanical means or mechanical energy. So we were able to work, move forward, and perform our task. Okay? If we are full, we eat properly. So we have enough energy. That's the way how we convert those things into real life situation. Law of conservation of energy states that energy can be transformed from one form to another, but it cannot be created or destroyed. So, remember this one. So, say for example, our cars, motorcycles, and any modes of transportation or land transportations or transports, our cars need fuel. It will serve as their blood as well in order to let our cars, motorcycles to move and travel into far distance. Right? So we can burn chemical energy by using fuel. We burn fuel by chemical means and further be converted once it is being used up. So we use that one like the presence of battery, electrical and mechanical means. Okay? So our car, okay, will be able to move and travel from one place to another place. Okay? By burning of fuel under chemical energy. Not only for a battery, the electrical means. But remember, fuel works everything in order that electrical and mechanical parts of our cars and motorcycles, okay, will function and fully operational. So, let's move forward. Energy transformation is the conversion of one form of energy to another. Always bear this one in your mind. Transformation, it talks about changing from one energy to another energy, and that will be beneficial. No? It serves what is your purpose. So, light can be converted to chemical energy, no? To electrical energy, to thermal energy. What do you mean by the word thermal? Heat energy. Electrical, electricity source or power. Chemical energy, like for example batteries, especially for our transportations. Another means of chemical energy is the one that you have eaten or digested, being digested. Okay? So any foods that you have eaten every day, that will also serve, it undergoes with chemical reactions and digestion. So, in order that you have to obtain or gain enough energy to do work, especially when you have heavy tasks to do. So you need to let your stomach full, and you have to make sure that you eat properly. So it undergoes chemical process or chemical digestion. Then mechanical energy, the time that you were able to perform your certain task. Then another one, burning a fuel, namanlut. Then for what purpose? Why we need to refuel our cars from time to time, okay, in order that our car, okay, will continue to move from one place to another place, especially in a far distance. Okay, next one. When energy is transferred, the form of energy does not have to change. Okay? According to the law of conservation of mass or conservation of energy, says that energy can be transformed from one form to another, but it cannot be created or even destroyed. Get it? So say for example, burning of fuel or eating healthy or nutritious food, there is what we call chemical potential energy has been created. Once, okay, you might even feel that one after you finish eating. You try to be relaxed, okay, right after you push through along with by drinking water. After a few minutes or an hour, you might even feel that you will be energized. So you have in other aspects, once there is chemical potential energy, okay, your body feels, okay, awakened, and of course, okay, your body also feels the heat energy. And somehow, in other components or objects, okay, potential energy or chemical potential energy will further be converted to electrical energy. And then, it will also produce heat plus light energy. So for example, our flashlight, okay? So manually, okay, some appliances or gadgets need battery. Battery is an example of chemical potential energy. Then, once it is being heated up, it will further convert it to electrical energy. Then, of course, it will produce heat plus light energy. And we can see those objects, okay, in the dark room. Next one. Even though energy can change form, the total amount of energy in the universe does not change. Okay? If you try to go back the law of conservation of mass, okay? So it states that the total amount of energy does not change, but we can reverse. But in the end, it remains the same or constant when it comes to the presence of atoms or molecules. Okay? It's just changing the form, but not literally by the removal of atoms, okay, and molecules. So what is then the energy transformation? The law of conservation of energy says that energy can be transformed from one form to another, but it cannot be created or destroyed. So say for example here, okay, we have gravitational potential energy which is high, no? Have you ever tried to ride a roller coaster? Okay, some of you here, no? If you are very interested or you're having fun when it comes to amusement, entertainment or amusement park. Okay? So when you ride a roller coaster, your gravitational potential energy or GPE, okay, it should be high, no? And it is further transformed to kinetic energy and back to gravitational potential energy by slowing down. So the acceleration created in order to move your potential energy into higher direction and then further be converted to slow down to reach the bottom portion, which is what we call the kinetic energy. Okay? So this is literally how it happens. And then the kinetic energy and back to gravitational potential energy repeats itself until the objects stop. Okay? How about radiant energy? What do you mean by the word radiant? Okay, radiant means light. Okay? So radiant is another key word to remember, okay, which is commonly known as light energy from the sun. So when a plant carries on photosynthesis, it transforms radiant energy, the absorption of sunlight, okay, throughout the plant leaf during the process of photosynthesis, from the sun into chemical energy. So the chemical energy, okay, contains plant molecules to further absorb the nutrients and minerals to process, okay, with the green pigment, what we call chlorophyll. So after that process, okay, plants give off oxygen, it could be water as well, and of course, the glucose or the presence of food. Right? So the chemical energy is stored in the bonds of the plant molecules. Next one, when electric energy plants burn fossil fuels, we transform the chemical energy from the molecules that were made by plants that lived millions of years ago. So if you may wonder how the fossil fuels are being drilled, when it comes to underground mining, or drilling, in order to get the source of fuel underground. But remember, that is made by plants, okay, which is already fossilized for thousands and million years ago, okay, and that can be used up for fuel to burn in order to produce electricity by means of a source of fossil fuel. So that chemical energy is transformed to the electric energy that you use in your home and even at school and different areas or places. So identify the three energy transformations that occur to make electric energy. Sunlight to chemical to electric. Fossil fuels to chemical or thermal to electric. Water or hydrothermal to kinetic to electric. So those things are basically examples to determine how energy are being converted, or by means of transformations of energy. So energy is always conserved. Some of those energy are non-renewable resources. Some of those are